All right, we're going next to our next talking point, but this time I won't be doing that part of the conversation. We'll be discussing experience based on mind over matter. The founder of Common Cancer Foundation, Dr. Jenny Teja, will be hosting that segment for us, and she is the chief executive officer of Common Foundation and the founder. But also we have the CEO of the Mindset Academy, Maureen China, who has a master's degree in neuro leadership, and that exactly is whom we'll be talking to. Aha, there they are, beautiful ladies, amiable this morning. So over to you, Dr. Dennis.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers, and welcome to another edition of Kakaki Cancer Awareness with Dr. Denise Ejo, the CEO of Common Cancer Foundation, in partnership with AIT. Together we fight, together we win. Today we're going to be looking at mind over matter, the cancer experience. When we look at the word the cancer experience, we need to really think very carefully about mind over matter, right? So thank you all for taking your time out to be with us today and for joining us on this very important day. The power of the mind for a cancer patient is important in helping to change our mind and our outcomes. Good morning, my guest. Who is my guest? My guest is Maureen China. Hello, Maureen.
Hello, Denise. So pleased to be with you here and really looking forward to this conversation this morning.
You're always smiling.
Have to. That's part
Very
of
nice.
mind over matter.
Bam. I accept. Okay, viewers, let's go. Thank you all for joining us. Together we fight, together we win. We need to change the narrative. Let's talk about the mind, our minds as cancer patients. I always make you understand. I don't accept myself because I am in this journey with you. So we're in it together. Let's go. What is mind? So mind is defined as the established set of attributes held by someone. Yeah, that's what the dictionary tells us. We've got a specialist in the house who's going to explain this in the context of the cancer journey, right? And cancer is a condition where cells in a specific part of the body grow and reproduce uncontrollably. We're not scientists, but that is what they say cancer is. So that's where we go. With this definition, that a person living with cancer, I'd like you to educate us more today on how we can support ourselves in working out what works for us using our mind, because our mindsets are very powerful. And so I want to introduce this conversation today. Let's start. Let's start the conversation. Together we fight. Sit back and share. Share, follow, and subscribe to Common Cancer Foundation and the Mindset Academy, who is our guest today. So let me tell you about our guest very briefly. Maureen China, she is, firstly, a very dear friend of mine, a classmate of mine, about 40 years? It's more than 40 years, right?
It is more than
Oh my
40
goodness,
years.
we're getting old. Over 40 years ago, we met first in secondary school. So let's go. Maureen is a neuro leadership expert and CEO of the Mindset Academy. She specializes in integrating neuroscience with leadership training and coaching to amplify decision-making, performance, and emotional intelligence. As the host of the Lead to Excel podcast, she offers insight into achieving extraordinary insight, which we're hoping to be able to get some tips today. Her work centers on enhancing the brain-mind-body connection and deploying strategies for exceptional personal and professional growth. She focuses on soaring to new heights and achieving remarkable successes. Maureen is passionate about empowering individuals on their journey to excellence. Good morning again, once again, viewers. Once again, Maureen, thank you for joining me and thank you for taking time out to be able to do this. As we just said, it's quite early. You're in the UK, I'm in the UK, but then it will soon change. Next week, everything will change. So let's remain united against cancer. As together we fight, together we win. Let's start this conversation. Maureen, are you ready for us?
I am so ready.
Let's have a good chat this morning.
Cool.
Okay, so firstly, I'm going to ask you, what's the meaning of good mindset? You see, mindset is mindset. So mindset, I think you'll explain that in the same way as what makes good mindset. Because that word keeps coming up whenever I'm trying to understand even my mindset. And that's why I brought it up, because I thought, this is a very serious conversation cancer patients may benefit from. And why is it important to discuss mindset on the cancer awareness journey program?
Yeah. Mindset, as you said, is really fundamental to us as human beings. So everything we do, it creates a mindset within us. So our thought patterns, the way we are raised, all this gets stored in memory in our subconscious brain and creates a mindset. The interesting thing is that most of what we do as human beings is driven at least 95% by what's going on in that subconscious brain. So that means that our mindset really controls a lot of what we do. We use our mindset without even thinking about it. So when it comes to really looking at cancer patients, when you talk of good mindset, it's really looking at what do I need to think, or what kind of mindset do I need to enable me achieve the goals that I want to achieve. The question then is, what are your goals? Goals is survival. Goals are, living a fulfilled life. Why going through the journey? Goals is even being able to stand up when you fall down through the journey. So a good mindset, I feel there are two main ones that I would really focus on, and that's having a growth mindset, which is having that positive mindset. It's having that hope of, really looking positively to things, and it's kind of reframing the negatives that come from it. The other mindset that I feel is quite fundamental is resilience mindset, and that's the fact that challenges will come. There are times that will be feeling low, but it's being able to get up and go. So those are the two mindsets that I will consider to be good mindsets in terms of going through the cancer journey. In other aspects of life, there are other mindsets that will crop up that are quite fundamental, but I think these two are the two that we really need to focus on when going through cancer, that would really make a huge difference to the journey.
Thank you. You see, you now allowed me to, yeah, okay, justify now. Okay, so I was on the right track when I was thinking this way. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. Now understand that there are several mindsets, which you've told us that we're going to focus on two, because they link directly or indirectly or somehow with the experiences of a cancer patient, right? The principles. So for a cancer patient, what would you say are the most relevant principles applicable to the lived experiences, and how would it support us in getting through the various challenges we face on our road to recovery? Because we're going to take, even from your own definition, I'm going to take it from your definition now, that our road to recovery is determined by us. So let us work together.
Yes. So the thing about mindset, like we know, is everything that goes on in the brain connects with the body. So there's a huge connection, a very close connection. What's going on in the brain, you feel it in the body. So what we need to now think about is, how can I help myself? Because how can I help myself live through this journey in a way that really enables me to live a fulfilled life, to live a joyful life? Because the truth is, there are times that things would really be tough. So one of the key things is being aware, and this is where I'll bring in emotional intelligence, which is just being able to manage, control, be aware, be alert to your emotions. The emotional center of the brain is so key, because when we have thoughts or when we are surrounded by things, it really gets into that emotional brain that scans the brain to let us know if this is a threat or if it's a reward. Now, what the brain perceives as a threat is the wiring that has already occurred in that brain. So that means the information that is already in the brain. The question is, what information do you have already? Now, if the information that you have is that cancer kills, automatically when you're then facing the journey and the doctor says, oh, this is bad, this is stage 4, this is stage 3, your brain, the subconscious brain, then brings to your memory, oh, cancer is bad, cancer kills. Now, what we need to now do is reframe, and this is where the awareness comes in for people individually. pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to what you're hearing. And anyone that is not helping you, that is not empowering, that is the time to start changing. And I call that reframing. Reframe the negative to create the positive. The good news is that we can do it. Previously, the thought was that you couldn't change your brain, that the way it is at the age of 25 is the way it will be for the rest of our lives. Now we know that that's not true. You can actually rewire your brain. You can change and create the narrative you want. And this is what will help you go on this journey, really make it more bearable than it actually is. So it's being able to take control of your brain, take control of your mindset, change it to what would help you. Because you see, at every part of the journey, there are different things that you need to manage or walk through. And that's what you need to focus on at that time to create the narrative you want to enable you go through the journey.
Awesome. I was just listening to what you said, and I thought, so you said refrain the negative to empower our thoughts, right?
Yes.
That's where we're going. That resonates, and I think it will resonate with every single cancer patient, because we're not very sure. So now lots of cancer patients are asking this question: how do I do it? Some say, for me, okay, I would say faith has carried me where I am.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my number one.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your views when patients would ask, what did I do wrong? Why am I here? Because that is what goes on in our head. Mm-hmm. I always say this thing, that the first time a cancer patient hears, we're sorry to tell you, you've got cancer, whatever, the patient zones out. And I sometimes try to make people understand, I mean zones out. We totally zone out. Because we have a family, we have hopes, we have aspirations, we're young, we're old, we've got children, we've got grandchildren, we've got bills to pay, we've got school fees to pay, and then you come and tell somebody, and like you said, reframing the mind is important. So what would you say? How would you help a cancer patient get past that? Because you don't forget it till you come out.
Yeah, I like the fact, Denise, that you touched on faith. And I think this is where it becomes important to have an anchor. And for me, as a Christian, it will be faith. It's that trust in God. It's what does God say? And that's the anchor. So it's really having an anchor in something, because that is where the hope will come in. That's where you'll be able to push through. That is how you'll be able to build up that resilient mind. Now, the question of why me is a valid question, because this is an information that was so unexpected. So and a lot of times you find that why me comes up in a lot of things. So the question why me is a valid question. The point is, don't settle there. Why me comes, you say, okay, there's nothing I can do. I can't even answer that question. So what do I have control over? What can I do? And this is where the reframing then comes in. Okay, this is the situation now. What can I do? What can I learn from this? What can I give? There's something about the way we are created. We are created to be social beings. So there's something about doing as well. So to be able to reframe, sometimes it can be quite challenging, because the narratives we've already created, the threat is already created, and threat response is so strong. That is why when you talk about zoning out, it's that threat, because what the information that has come is a threat. It's a threat to your life. It's a threat to your livelihood. It's a threat to your future. And the brain then kicks in that flight, or freeze. And it's the freeze that makes you zone out. Some people will go into denial, which is the running away from the facts. But when all this goes, it's now important to now say, okay, what do I do? What's my role? What can I control? taking the treatment, going for counseling. In terms of reframing, paying attention to your thoughts, wiring, so repeating what you want. This is what I'm going to do. I have hope for my future. It's, there's something about visioning. When you see into the future, it gives you hope to be able to keep moving forward. That is also a good way to help to reframe. But the key thing is repeating what you want. Because there's a saying that says repetition rewires the brain. And another one that I would like to bring in is I don't know whose quote it is. It says, you see the world not as it is, but as you are. So it's the question is, how are you? How are you wired? So it's now changing the narrative of what you have, or creating the narrative of what you want. And that could be, this is what I have control over, and this is what I'm going to do. So I am going to walk through this. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to probably say, just like what you're doing, Denise, setting up the foundation, really being able to be, help other people. And as you're doing that, you're creating new pathways in your brain that are now wiring. So that in itself gives the body calmness. The flight or freeze mechanism calms down, and you're able to now keep going. And that alone can even give more longevity, even because now you're also producing new cells, new brain cells, new body cells, which can actually really help with healing and help with longevity on the journey.
You see, you're not supposed to finish, because I was taking this thing in and trying to calculate what's going on. Okay.
I'm so conscious of time. That was why I didn't want to go, because if you
no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, hitting the point, but it's interesting because this rewiring of our brain is a key thing. I know what I'm saying. It's key. It makes a significant difference in our lives, and people around us impact, like you have pointed out, negatively or positively. I will agree with you. A lot of the strategies you talked about today, I have actually used. So zone out people that are negative. No. The one thing, however, a typical Nigerian or somebody from a developing country would come up with would be that the reason we're where we are is because of our finances. That's an assumption. I think it's an assumption. But I don't commonize it, because, to be honest with you, if you see cancer and you calculate how much you earn, especially when you sit in a typical, ordinary, everyday office in Nigeria, how would you now navigate, or start to even navigate, your brain first, so that you can start to see the small steps? Because you've got to get to be able to start taking those small steps, which is the key thing. Because when you can start taking the small steps, then you can start going. And I recall this when I was first diagnosed, because I shut out like everybody else. And it took me a long time to start taking this stuff. So I was just like a robot. Go to the hospital, go to this, go to that, go to that. But that was not living. How would you talk a cancer patient to be able to just get that gear up?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. And that's a very vital question. And you see, one thing that I would say, anyone listening, or in life, or anyone that is paying attention, when things like this happen, or shocks come, or life changes, the shock will happen. But the next stage is for you to now, it's almost like take the control. Because there's something about the brain. When the emotional part of the brain is heightened, so that is that threat, that is that fear, that is that stress, what it does is that the part of the brain known as the amygdala literally hijacks the rest of the brain, especially our thinking brain. So you find that when under stress, you struggle to make decisions. You struggle to even see into the future. So one of the key things to always do is take control. How can you do that? You might not be able to do it yourself. And this is where seeking help becomes so important. But it's seeking help from the right people or right person. Somebody that can help you navigate. Somebody that can help you, almost like help you calm your own brain down, because no one can do it for you. You've got to do it yourself. But someone that is that calming to enable that emotional part of the brain calm down so that your thinking brain can kick in and you can then start making decisions. And it's really taking things one step at a time and going, okay, this is what I need to do now. In terms of finances, what do I have? Who can I go to? Are there support groups? Are there people who I can reach out to? And just don't think too far ahead, because that is where the fear will come in, because you don't know that far ahead. Just start with the now, and then as time goes on you can start increasing the reach into far ahead. But just stop and just start taking one step at a time, and think, because there's something about our brain, Denise, and I just say God is just so amazing the way he's given us. When you stop to think, when you ask your brain a question, you get the answer. And you get deep insights, things that you wouldn't even have thought about before. Ideas will come about what you can do, how to raise finances, or how to navigate through it, or what to do. And it might even come from people. It might come from reaching out to someone. It might even come from you. But the key is to really be able to calm that emotional part of the brain down. So what I mean is calm the fear. Let the fear go, the stress, the anxiety, the nerves, so that your thinking brain kicks in and you're able to do what you need to do. And that also means, like you said, paying attention to people you listen to, paying attention to what you listen to, so that you're getting the information that is helping you. And it's being really intentional about, this is right for me, this is not right for me, and just keep going till you get what you want. That's so important. It's almost like you're running a business. You don't stop at the first hurdle. You just keep going. What can I do? Where do I need to go? Keep doing the treatment, but then I need to live. I need to survive. What can I do? And this is where creativity really kicks in. And that's the real beauty of the brain we have.
Creativity really kicks in. Oh my goodness. you just a bulb just lit in my brain all of a sudden. I was like, oh wow, that's what happened. Because I remember when I was first diagnosed, and I asked myself, what am I going to do with this now? And the only thing I said was, if God allows me to live, I'm going to create awareness on cancer. And when I was told I'll never work again, creativity kicked in. Oh my!
But
Thank you for that.
But you see what you did there? You asked the question, what can I do now? And that's the power, is asking the question. Because when you ask your brain questions, it gives you deep insights. And this is where things like meditation come in so handy. We talk a lot about being present. Even just, I think we were having this conversation yesterday in terms of prayer. Even just stopping and just being silent and asking questions and just stopping is so powerful. For me as a Christian, just meditating, just stopping to say, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? What do? You just see a lot of insights, deep insight. And what's happening there is the brain cells, the neurons are connecting and firing, and that's where the creativity and insight then comes into play. And you find out that things that you never knew you could do, you start doing. The boldness you didn't have before, because this is now survival. I'm going to do it. I'm going to reach out to this person. I'm going to do things you never imagined you could do. And then you find that there's so much learning that is coming from the experience. And you find you'll never be the same. From the pre-cancer to where you are, you see a completely different person. The growth, would just be so amazing. So, yeah, I hope that
yeah, it does. So you're going to give us 3 quick benefits. So 3 quick strategies. Now, it's very specific as we round off this conversation. Give us three strategies that we can benefit from going forward. And one of them is, first, I want you to speak to government on our behalf, because there are still many of us that are needing government support. They are working very hard, but we still need them. To our civil societies, we have a lot of support systems that work. And to the patients, give us three key things to go forward with as we end this conversation.
Yeah, I think with the government, one of the key things that is so important is to really pay attention to people who are suffering from cancer, because a lot of times they don't know how long it's going to be for. So just putting the finances in place to support them, to support, because feeding, paying rent, just little things like this make a huge difference. Even providing resources in hospitals, in healthcare, for counseling, all these things would make a huge difference. Because a lot of times it's almost like cancer patients are forgotten. And because one person's journey might be 5 years, another person's journey might be 20, 15. So it's really being able to provide support in terms of finances, in terms of advice, in terms of awareness, supporting charities, supporting, different ways that you can support them. And for the healthcare service, it's also, this is where emotional intelligence really comes in. It's actually being emotional, training staff, training doctors, training nurses, training support staff to have emotional intelligence to be able to deal with them. And this means paying attention to what they do, putting finances into keeping records safe, keeping things in proper use. And also, I think one of the things I'll say for patients is ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Ask questions about your treatments. Ask questions about what the stages are, so that you are also aware of what you're going through. Because a lot of times you ask people and they don't even know, what stage they are, what treatment they are having, what's coming next. Own it. Take control of it. Be open to it, and don't let fear come in. That if you
Thank
know.
you, Maureen.
Okay.
Thank you. Great
Time
works
up, yeah.
are performed not by strength, but by perseverance. I really appreciate this conversation. Has been very, very interesting. Really, really, we've run out of time now. So I just want to say a very big thank you. Follow us all on our social media handles on Common Cancer Foundation. A lot of activities, I keep saying, just check out what's going on in the spaces. And you can also find Maureen on the mindsiteacademy.com. You'll find her work there. Together we fight, like I said, together we win. Get more information on what's going on. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. And happy Easter to all our viewers across the country. Have a lovely, lovely break. Our message is very clear. Together we'll fight. Together we win.